Well, to kick things off, Connie, so I know that you and your husband co-founded Sunlighten out of a personal health crisis. Can you walk us through that journey? I've heard snippets here and there, but I'd love to hear, how it really shaped your mission. And again, I love what you're doing. So I'm super excited to dive into this.
Thank you. Yeah, so a long time ago, over 20 some years ago, my brother had mercury toxicity, and he was diagnosed with mercury toxicity through his dentist because of his mercury fillings leaking into his body. He was really, really sick, young. Just couldn't do anything. And it really significantly impacted his life until his dentist diagnosed him and then recommended infrared as a way to sweat out the mercury and do it safely, naturally, in the comfort of his own home. And so he bought an infrared sauna, and it changed his life. And my husband and I were in, where were we? We were in St. Louis at the time. And we were both working for Procter & Gamble on the pharmaceutical side. And
interesting.
Yeah. And both of us really wanted to make a significant difference in this world and leave the world a healthier place and make an impact. We both had really big dreams, and we felt like we were doing everything we could with pharmaceuticals as far as helping people, and we were. But when we saw my brother cure himself, like literally cure himself with this technology, we were like, wait a second. Nobody knows about this. Right. Right. Nobody knows about this. What if, that this is our destination and this is what we're really supposed to be doing. We're supposed to bring this, to the forefront and enlighten everybody about infrared. And that's exactly what we started to do. We left our corporate jobs. Aaron left first. I stayed and did 2 jobs for about, 6 months, because we just didn't want to, completely be crazy. We were just half crazy. And yeah, everybody thought we were, my friends, my family, except my mom didn't, because she believed, but I was really the only person. In fact, my mom came out and helped us, and just because it was just crazy at the beginning. It was just really day by day, struggling.
I can imagine. Well, you certainly were a pioneer. Now we hear infrared, almost in every other sentence in the wellness space. And it's, again, so much emerging research is coming out on it. And even too, Connie, I've found that, the therapies now that so many folks are using, be it infrared or, sauna therapy and whatnot, these are ancient therapies, right? Like they have been used for thousands of years. If you look at the Finnish culture too, like every single family, my understanding, like has a sauna actually in their home. So it's not like these are new practices.
Yeah. In fact, I heard what was the statistic? I just learned it last week. In Finland, there are more saunas than cars, something like that. Yeah, it's a really powerful statistic, maybe even homes. That it was like mind blowing. There's just so many. It is such a ritual, and an ancient ritual. it's been around for so long, and infrared has been around obviously for so long because it comes from the sun. So
right.
So as long as the sun's been around, infrared's been around.
Absolutely. And that leads into my first question, Connie. So for the listener out there who's never even heard of the term infrared, can you do a quick, foundational breakdown of that?
Yes. And actually, it's a lot of people that I talk to. So I'm thrilled to hear you say that it's everywhere, because that just warms my heart, because most people that I talk to don't know what it is. So infrared comes from the sun, and it is part of the sun's light spectrum. What makes the spectrum, and that's one thing that's different about infrared versus traditional heat, is that it has a spectrum of heat. It's a spectrum within a spectrum. There's 4 different parts of that spectrum, which we can talk about if you want. That's a little bit deeper into the science. But those 4 different parts matter as far as the impact on the body. And then infrared is also light. So it's light energy, and our bodies are natural solar panels. In order for them to be activated and turned on, you need light energy into your body. It's not a luxury. It's something you need to have. And forever ago, when we were outside all the time, our bodies got that natural sunlight and that natural infrared into our bodies, but it just doesn't happen anymore. And then infrared is heat that is absorbed into the cells without going through the air. So that's different than traditional heat. Traditional heat heats the air, and temperature really matters because you want to be really, really hot in order to get the benefits. With infrared, temperature doesn't matter because it's about the energy transfer into your cells, and they're absorbed and they start to move and vibrate. And I can get into all the science if you want, but that's a high level of what infrared is. It's safe, natural, essential for all living things. The majority of the sun's light spectrum is in the infrared category. It just doesn't have any of the UV or other rays in it. It's just the healing rays.
Can we do a deep dive, Connie, just for me? I'm very curious into those 4 different spectrums.
Yeah, it's fascinating how they work. So let's start with far, because far is the foundation of infrared. That's when we started doing our research forever ago. As far as trying to understand this wavelength, this special wavelength, we really spent a lot of time understanding the far infrared part of it. I didn't know that I was doing that, but I was doing that. Now that I reflect back, I'm like, oh, wow. So this is really the foundation of the infrared spectrum. And how it works is it is the coolest of the 3 wavelengths, and it is absorbed. It's light, but you feel it and you experience it by heat. And the heat gets in the infrared gets into your cells, and it starts to make them move and change the structure. And the magical part is it really starts to move things around in your body and develop flow. So the whole flow is increased blood flow, increased oxygenation, increased core temperature. That's magical because that helps with your immune system. That helps with hormesis. That helps make your body stronger. It also helps with weight loss because your body's trying to cool itself down. I mean, that's such a magical piece to the whole infrared energy. And as also then you start to increase your core temperature, that's when your body starts to sweat. So the sweat is, an incredible side benefit of the experience. So far infrared, it's really claim to fame. It's really excellent for all the cardiovascular benefits are all of the heart health. There's been tons and tons and tons. In fact, out of all the benefits, cardiovascular is the most studied and most extensive, specifically with the far infrared. Another benefit of far that I love so much that's relatively newer is reduced inflammation at the deep part of your body. So it actually activates a gene that controls inflammation. So when you do that, it helps you turn back the biological clock because inflammation is known as inflammaging, and it's the number 1 cause of aging. So far infrared helps at the deepest level. All of the wavelengths help with inflammation. They just help with the body in different ways.
Right.
So I talked about inflammation with far. Detoxification is critical with far. And then also there's lots of studies with depression with far infrared. And then mid-infrared, it's really magic is working together. It's kind of like a sidekick to far infrared. The experience that you receive is a little bit hotter than the experience with far because wavelength is a little bit shorter. And it's like claim to fame is helping far with weight loss as well as reducing inflammation at the joints and tissues level. So it's excellent for muscle recovery. And we get a lot of athletes that want Impulse, which is the one behind me, because Impulse is the only product on the market that has far infrared separately, mid-infrared separately, near-infrared separately, and red light separately. So we isolate all of the wavelengths, but then we also have found a way to blend them all together and pulse them at different frequencies to give 6 different targeted health benefits, 6 different programs. So that's mid-infrared and some other benefits too. And then the 2 other wavelengths, near and red, are delivered through LEDs, and you do not experience them by heat. So you have 2 that you feel it's all light energy from the sun, but 2 of them are experienced by heat and 2 are experienced by light. Near infrared is invisible light, and it is so powerful, and it is such a beautiful part of this infrared energy. It penetrates the skin as a superficial level. So it actually goes through the skin layers. And there's so many benefits, reduced inflammation, but there's tons of benefits associated specifically with the skin, like with cellulite and with aging and with fine lines and wrinkles, tons of studies with wound healing.
Yeah.
So that's the one of the benefits of near. And then red light right next door is visible light, and it doesn't go as deep. So originally when we launched Impulse, that was 2010. So gosh, 15 years ago, it's crazy.
Wow.
When we launched Impulse, we launched it with just near infrared because that goes the deepest, and that was the most powerful, and all the scientists told us to do that. So that's what we did. The issue with that is it's invisible, and so intellectually, I mean, it was hard enough for people to understand what infrared is. And then I throw a light at them and I said, this is going to help you, but you can't see it. I mean, people just had a hard time wrapping their mind around that. So we added red light later because you can see it, and it does work synergistically with near infrared. And same benefits. Really, there's only two differences between the two. One is the depth of penetration, and the second is the color, and one being invisible, one being visible. So that's a high level. I mean, I could talk hours just about far, and same thing with mid, but that's a high level of the four wavelengths.
Connie, how did you learn all of this? Are you just self-taught? You're a researcher at heart, I can tell.
I am self-taught. It's the same way I learned. People always ask me. I also studied Spanish. It was my major in college, and people are like, what? Like, how did you learn so much Spanish? I'm just like, well, I mean, I took it in school in 7th grade, but I taught myself when I was younger. So I just kept asking, and I don't know. Anyway, so
I love that.
Yeah, I just, I've asked a lot of brighter people than me. So I've leaned into the experts. I mean, Dr. Hamlin, who is, I just think, absolutely the world of. He is our medical advisory. He's on our medical advisory board. But before he was on our medical advisory board, I mean, I just would read all of his stuff because he's the expert on infrared. He's the expert on photobiomodulation, which is near infrared and red light, and has a handbook. It's not a handbook. It's such a wrong word. It is a textbook, of all of the studies. And I mean, it's been extensively studied, and the impact that it makes on the body is, if this was in a pill, Jacqueline, I mean, it would be a $1 billion, more than $1 billion.
Right.
People will be taking it all the time.
I'm so interested too, Connie. Like, you came from a pharma background, right?
Ironic, right?
Very ironic. And I mean, how has your stance on, pharma evolved since being in this space?
That's
a very broad, ambiguous question.
No, that's a great question. I've never really thought about how has it evolved, because my feelings in pharma when I was there, I don't really feel like it's changed much. And my feelings were that there is a need. And I still believe that there are times when, you do need to have some type of medicine to treat things. Not everything. I mean, ideally, let's get to the core and let's peel back the onion and let's get to the root, right? And let's treat. And infrared is a great way to treat so many different things safely and naturally in the comfort of your own home. It is my favorite, hack just on everything. Right. I mean, it's just it's so great for that. But there are times when you do need to supplement that. And I would never take the position of don't do that. I would never tell somebody, don't go to a doctor, just use my sauna. I mean, I just don't feel that way. I do feel that there's, I love integrative and functional medicine physicians.
Yes.
I think that they do have that philosophy of peeling back the onion and getting to the root. And as long as that's being approached, then I think that, I don't have anything. I loved my time in pharmaceuticals. I learned so much. I loved the people. I had amazing mentors and people that I looked I just looked up to them so much. And so, I feel like it was there to give me that foundation of science and and to pique and spark my curiosity, with the science world, because when there's such a tipping point, Jacqueline, when my brother went through his journey and then I started doing research on infrared. I'm like, what is this? Just can't really do what it just saw. And I saw all of these studies, specifically in the cardiovascular arena, that were already out. And what that movement for me in my brain was, wait a second, I'm doing this and I'm trying to, educate and market, and sell antihypertensives, to people. And the whole message was about side effects and how, like, we're trying to come up with a dosage that's low enough to do the trick and to lower your blood pressure, but also eliminate as many side effects as possible. And then I think, wait a second, there's these studies. There's so many studies on blood pressure and cardiovascular health and endothelial lining and strengthening the heart and helping with CHF and CAD. And I saw the statistical significant data, which is what I was studying on to try and bring medications to market. And they were all stat sig with using infrared. And like, wait a second, this is getting to the root. This is what I'm really about. And so I just, decided to, jump off a cliff and hope I landed okay. I mean, it's crazy. I would not necessarily recommend people to mortgage their home and to mortgage their cars and, to go all in. And, but that's what we did.
You took a step of faith and clearly you did well. So we wouldn't be here had you not done that. Aww. But I truly admire you and your journey. I think it's incredible. And what you said about the integrative approach, that certainly resonates with me. And I mentioned to you, Connie, prior to us starting, I went to Babson College, studied economics. But during my undergraduate years, I actually wrote a thesis as part of this honors program I did. And the premise of my thesis was to advocate for an integrative approach to cancer. And it was actually a year later that we found out my mom's cancer returned to stage 4. So it's kind of like ironic in terms of timing. But at that point in time, I already had explored a lot of these complementary therapies for cancer, many of which my mom actually did. But the more I learned, the less I actually knew, right? Or I realized I knew. But B, I realized that it's not one or the other, it's both, right? And you can still pursue a conventional approach, but as long as you're supporting foundationally what your body needs, again, through complementary therapies like IVC, hyperbaric, infrared, sauna therapy, I think that's one of the best things you could do for yourself. And I like to experiment on myself too, Connie. I've done quite a few things just for my own health, but one thing that I really love infrared light for as well, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of research on this, is for concussions and traumatic brain injuries. I had several back in college. You're going to laugh, but none of them were sports related. People are always like, what did you do? And I'm like, just had a casual fall on ice in Massachusetts in the winter. But through those concussions, I actually learned about the benefits of infrared light when it comes to, helping to also mitigate long-term symptoms associated with TBIs. And to your point about inflammation, reducing inflammation, building mitochondrial function.
Yes.
So I purchased a red light bulb. And anytime I had a little head bump or whatnot, I'd always get so paranoid. But I would sit in front of that light and call it placebo or not. But I really did feel an impact after, 10 or 15 minutes just of that infrared light exposure. So it's super, super interesting.
So who was it that how long ago? Because this was a bit ago, right?
This was in college. Yeah. My first concussion was sophomore year of college, which was 2015.
Yeah. So who was it that taught you? Who was it that was it your doctor?
Just myself, Connie. I just, again, similar to you, just started doing research, how to improve, brain health, how to mitigate, post-concussion syndrome naturally. I learned a lot about lion's mane mushrooms, which, stimulate BDNF. So I went down a whole rabbit hole, but one of my main, treatment, so to speak, was red light therapy.
Oh my gosh, what a great story.
Isn't that cool?
And I'm so glad that we met and that you did that research on your own. I mean, here I am listening to you thinking, okay, I want to know what doctor, because that's very progressive, Yeah. I mean, I hear that a lot today from doctors, recommending PBM or even recommending, all 4 wavelengths. But 10 years ago, It was really, really, really tough. So good for you that you did the research and that you found the information. That makes me so happy. I mean, it makes me feel like getting up every morning and doing the work that we are doing, is touching, more people than I realized. It's touched you. And
it has. It truly has. And also too, I mean, your mission's to help people, but even in the cancer space too, Connie, like there has also been some recent literature on stacking, I think it's methylene blue with red light therapy for cancer. And again, like it's incredibly fascinating, and we're just starting to dip our toes into that whole area. But the opportunity and like the potential that is there, it's really exciting. It's really, really exciting.
It is really exciting. And I have seen, I remember somebody sent me, God, this is years ago. It was not too long, probably after we launched Impulse. I mean, that's how long it was. And somebody sent me this amazing visual, I will never forget it, on near infrared, which when you say red light, so just so everybody's listening, near infrared and red light, I mean, they're not really interchangeable because near infrared goes deeper, and especially on the brain,
right.
Near infrared is a better choice because it goes deeper. Usually, if you do it right, near infrared and red light should be combined. So it shouldn't be one or the other necessarily. If you only have one, for those who are listening, I would do near infrared, especially for chronic things like the stuff you're talking about, because it is more powerful than red light. But anyway, back to my example is somebody sent me a visual of how near infrared light impacts cancerous cells and actually can force them to die off and then regenerate, new cells. And I mean, it was such a powerful, we can't share that on our website. I mean, I'm still, it's been, a minute, obviously, since I was at P&G, but my brain is still, I mean, we got so programmed over there on, the lawyers and, not saying anything. And so we take everything on our website, we run it through our attorneys.
I'm sure.
Just make sure that there is no confusion or we're not misrepresenting and we're not doing anything that to harm. We're simply doing stuff to educate. But that doesn't surprise me about the red light because I received that. And I loved, I can see it in my head. I loved that it was like a cycle of what happens when near infrared is exposed to cancerous cells or irregular cells in general.
Right. And honestly, too, Connie, I feel like it's kind of intuitive. Like you don't necessarily need to have a brilliant understanding of how like the scientific mechanisms of how these things work. It's just foundational, right? Yeah. Like look at the sun. Sun is life-giving. And again, to the point about like making sure you get sun exposure every single morning. I'm a huge advocate of that.
I saw that. It made me so happy when I was on Instagram. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm going to really like Jacqueline. I just love that.
Morning staple. I'm always outside. First thing I do, I go outside for my 15-minute morning walk, no phone, sunlight, even if it's cloudy. And it really does. People don't realize how much it actually helps in terms of just, creating a solid circadian rhythm and melatonin production at night, like so many benefits just from stepping outside for 5 minutes in the morning.
Yep. I always say when, they were I get asked about infrared benefits. Sleep is such a great benefit of infrared because of everything you just said, because of the melatonin production, because of the infrared, it gets you on your circadian rhythm. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just a question, probably one of the number one questions I get is, what time of day should I use infrared? And it doesn't, it's personal preference. Do what is going to fit in your lifestyle best. And most importantly, do what's going to lead to a habit. It's like your habit, your 15-minute walk. So if that's in a morning walk, that's your habit. That's what you want to do is you want to find the schedule that you can become routine with, and you do it, consistently. That's what's really important. But whether you do it in the morning, you do it at night, it's going to help all of these things. It's just whether you want to start your day with that, or you want to end it. It's up to you. Yeah. Or you can do it in the middle when it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Speaking of habits, Connie, so one thing I'm super interested in, and I hear a lot of folks talking about this, again, everyone's different, but people do stack therapies, right? Or stack supplements when using a sauna, for example. What are some of, I guess, like your favorite protocols or things that you have heard folks like, really, really advocate for?
I have so many. So,
so many.
Well, because one of my favorite benefits from a practical standpoint, because I am all about efficiency and saving time, because it's the one thing that the essence of time is the one thing we can't get more of in life.
Yep.
And so every minute that passes by is the last time, we'll experience that minute. And so
Right.
I want to make sure that I live life to the fullest with every minute. And part of what I love so much about sitting in my Sunlighten Sauna is I can stack other things that I'm doing in my life while I'm in there. So it just depends on what's going on in my life. That if I'm reading a book, or if I'm really I went through a period when I was extremely, studying breath work and the power of breath work and the different type of breathing exercise, and like to do that inside the sauna is so powerful. It just,
yes,
you start to get this active cardiovascular conditioning with this passive cardiovascular conditioning, if that makes any sense. So I always say it's like the perfect marriage of increased energy with decreased stress. So it's just this great marriage, this great blend that puts you in just this like perfect recipe. And so combining Sunlighten Sauna with, breath work. Another one that's powerful, so powerful, is meditation. Just really going in there and, just taking time and meditating on whatever topic, or just clearing your head. Because your brain, that's a thing. See, this is the thing. Let's talk about this for a second. Your brain, it changes when you're in there. And so that's why it's such a great place to habit stack, because what happens, if you can just kind of imagine, you get this energy in to your body. And remember, I talked about this flow starts to happen. And so it's just like, when you run or you walk, this probably happens to you on your walks, where you get this inspiration in your head is clear, you feel lighter and more energized because you're getting this increased blood flow. And there's really that's such, I was gonna say, not like more powerful in your body than starting to get movement inside your body into your cells, getting more blood all over, getting more oxygen all over. That oxygen and blood flow is going to your brain. And that going to your brain starts to unlock a lot of things that are stuck. And that is, it's just so powerful. And so why not, when you're in there, take advantage of it? And so, I've done everything from, journaling. Sometimes I'm sure my Sunlighten friends love that, when I just become super creative and I start to come up with all these different ideas, because I'll be thinking about, okay, I want to focus on X, Y, or Z. And, so I go in there, and so then I come up with all these ideas on X, Y, or Z, and I share them.
Connie, you could host meetings in there, just like have a Zoom session.
Yeah. And it's actually, one of the reasons that people live longer is they have a sense of community. They feel a belonging. They feel a connection. And when you're in there with, like when I'm in there with my kids, when they come in and surprise me and come down and talk to me, or my husband, or at our day spa downstairs, where I'm in the building that has the day spa right now. And I was just down there, and I love seeing people go in there with girlfriends. Oh my gosh, you feel your bucket, right? Your bucket gets so full, and that makes you happier, and that makes people healthier, because when you're happier, you're healthier, and then that's what leads to, living longer. So back to habit stacking. I'm so sorry, Jacqueline. I'm all over.
No, I love this. Okay. Connie, I love this. We're very similar. You and I think very much alike on so many different things. I love hearing your thoughts on all of this.
Okay, so I said meditation, breath work, stretching is another one. Dry brushing is another one. Listening. A lot of people listen to podcasts, listen to like calm calming music, kind of like cellos, just something just like super, super calm. Journaling, intention setting, yoga. I've done yoga. I love doing like tree pose or just anything with balance that helps you with your balance when you're in there, because I just also feel like that helps with the brain. And then there's people that do recommend, as far as so all those are my kind of thing. There's a lot of people that use castor oil. I haven't tried that yet. Full disclosure, I want to try that.
I sleep with one every night, Connie, castor oil pack.
You do?
Every single night.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Do you put it a certain place, or?
I keep it over my liver, but quite honestly, I mean, more and more research is coming out. I mean, you could really put it anywhere. Really? I mean, I've heard women had a lot of my followers have used it to shrink cysts, ovarian cysts, interestingly enough. I mean, my mom's been dealing with liver tumors, so I always encourage her to sleep with it over her liver every single night. You can even, stack it with some essential oils, but it's just super simple practice, again, that anyone can do. It takes a table of castor oil and you sleep with it, to your point about, saving time and efficiency. It's like one of the most simple things you could do before your bedtime routine.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to take that from you.
You should.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I don't have it at home. And so when I do my sauna, then I'm like, okay, I want to try it, but I can do it just like you said at night. That's great.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
part of my nighttime routine. Okay, that's awesome. Yes. So, and a lot of people do like activated charcoal. They'll do binders, castor oil, glutathione. So, there's lots of different things that you can do to add on. But I just love the fact that when you're in there, because you're so comfortable, and if people are listening, they've never experienced an infrared sauna, it's a very different experience than a traditional sauna, because in a traditional sauna, it would be hard. You could have it stacked for a little bit, but it would be hard because it's really hot, and you're focusing on your breathing and all of that. With infrared, it's your body is heating, and the energy is working inside on your mitochondria and your cells and your water molecules. So it's supercharging your cells from the inside out. Yeah. And so because of that, your experience is enjoyable, and you can stay in there, and it's not something you have to fight to get through. It's something that you enjoy. And so because you can enjoy it, then you can add on all these other things to do while you're in there, or like writing letters. I saw what was that for? Was that for dopamine, or was that for gratitude? You had something to write a letter, a thank you note to somebody,
Probably. Yep. Yeah. Connie, I didn't know you follow WellnStrong. I love that. Yes. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. I mean, that's like WellnStrong is like the best name, right? Like, who doesn't want to be well and strong? Right. So I'm like, what's she all about? And what are the things she recommends? And I love it. I mean, I think gratitude is so important. I mean, and also while we're on that topic, this is my like one of my newest things. I have a lot of things, but
Connie, do you have a podcast? Do you have your own podcast?
No,
You need to start one.
Oh, you're so adorable.
You really do.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
You have a lot of wonderful things to say, and I think many people would benefit from it. You're gonna come back on this show at some point soon, but you should also consider starting your own.
Okay. I will put that in my brain, and I will share that with my team, and we will see what they have to say.
Please do.
Okay, so what I was going to say, this is my last thing I will say about habit stacking, but it's really important, especially to this audience who wants to be well and strong. And I think it's so powerful for women is when you're in there to really not only think about sharing gratitude with others, but sharing gratitude with yourself and giving yourself that love and that care and that mental thank you and that just that, and also giving yourself that freedom to make mistakes. I just wrote recently a manifesto, and I made sure to include in that I also recognize I fall down, and I fall down again and again and again. Yeah. But I learn and I get back up. And so you have to give yourself grace of, I before, because I have 2 kids and it's just hard being a parent.
How old are your children?
15 and 17. So I'm in the
You are in the crux of
I am in the crux of two teenage boys. Yes. And I tell you what, there hasn't been anything in my life yet that has been, it's so rewarding, amazing rewarding, fills my bucket every day.
I'm sure.
But it's so important. So I take it so seriously, right? Yeah. I want to do the right thing and make the right choices. And there would be many days, my whole point is there'd be many days I'd be in my sauna and I would just be sitting there reflecting and thinking, Connie, okay, that was not a good choice. That was not a good decision. You probably shouldn't have done, I just go through that. And then at the end, I was just like, I felt horrible. I'm like, why did I just go through all of that? I should totally do the reverse and just acknowledge it, recognize it, own it, feel it, learn from it, and then be graceful to myself and be thankful. It's like, you know what? I am absolutely doing the best I can. And at that moment, I made the best decision that, I thought about. And sometimes we don't reflect as fast as we should. And that's okay. So
I love that. Connie, there's an episode I did with a woman called Jo Hargreaves. I'm going to send it to you after we stop recording. It was probably one of my favorite episodes, in addition to this one with you, but we spoke about rumination and how to capture intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
And one thing too, Connie, so a little bit about WellnStrong. I've kind of evolved in my approach. I mentioned I was a huge, enthusiast for integrative medicine. I still am, but I've kind of shifted more towards like a faith-based approach to wellness. And that's just stemmed from my journey with my mom, over the past few years. But one thing we spoke about in that episode was there's a verse in the Bible that says, forget the things of the past, look to the future, in so many words. And I meditate on that because I feel like as perfectionists, right, we're always ruminating on past decisions, thinking we should have done this or that, always thinking of like the potential possible outcome that would have happened in another scenario without recognizing that we actually don't really know what that would have even have been like, right? But in our minds, we think, if we just think about it enough, we'll have an answer. So that was just very healing for me to hear that and just to meditate on those words. And to your point about, we make the decision that we do at that time with information we have. That's the best decision we can make. And we have to just, trust that and trust the timing of that and just move forward. But I love that. And those are really healthy practices. So thank you for sharing those.
Of course. Thanks for sharing yours. I mean, I'm taking more away today. Like, I'm so glad I came. I'm going to do castor oil. And I mean,
You're so sweet.
I'm going to, talk to my team about a podcast. I mean, look at all of the things that the impact. I mean, that's amazing. So what a great, what a great podcast you have.
Thank you, Connie. One other question too, I did want to get your thoughts on in terms of stacking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks out there who are like the cold plunge enthusiasts and whatnot. And I know there's benefits of hot cold therapy, obviously, for helping to stimulate your lymphatic system. Is that a practice that you yourself like to do, like alternating between sauna and cold plunges, or not as much?
That is such a loaded question, and I'm trying.
Another episode.
So I'm reflecting. Yeah, can I come back and can we talk about that?
100%.
So on a serious note, I would like to come back and talk about that in a deeper level, and there's reasons why I'm not going to share right now. But to answer your question, I think that whenever you shock the body, there is, proven benefits, right? You're activating your heat shock proteins, you're creating a state of hormesis, you're making your body stronger, you're helping with your heart rate variability. I mean, there's so many, you're helping muscle recovery. There's so many benefits. So I just think then cold is one of those, and to go back and forth, is a good practice for sure. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. All right. I'm excited for that episode, Connie. And I am curious too, do you use your sauna every single day? Like what is your routine?
That's a great question. I do not use it every day. I do go through times like I just did because we, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I shared. So Sunlighten was included in a documentary called Longevity Hackers that's streaming right now.
No, that's incredible.
Yeah, and
I know what I'll be watching this weekend.
And Longevity Hackers was invited. It was up for an award.
Wow.
At the Beverly Hills Film Festival, and the producers who are just magnificent. I just respect them so much. I have so much respect for them. They just poured their heart and soul into this documentary to helping people find ways to live longer, and to increase their longevity. Anyway, to get to my point is I was just in Beverly Hills because we were invited to walk the red carpet and to do the screening.
So exciting.
Super exciting. And, but traveling like that, especially that far, we're in Kansas City, and also just the screening was late at night. Like, I mean, when you just get off your routine, when I came back, I think I went, at least 5 straight days in a row in the sauna. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most I've sauna'd in a row.
Yeah.
So typically I like 3 to 4 days a week is my routine. Sometimes, like if I'm gone for the weekend, then I'm off,
right.
But that's generally speaking. And I love it. And the other thing I would say for those listening, because this is a big deal for me, is with the time factor, is it's okay to only go in for 15 minutes. A lot of studies have been done, like the Weigh On studies on the cardiovascular health was just 15 minutes. So you don't feel like if I don't have 30 to 40 minutes, then I can't do it today.
Right.
Because then you'll never do it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That is so true. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Also, too, even with my mom. So my mom, Connie, prior to my hearing about Sunlighten years ago, when when her cancer came back, right away I was on it. I was like, we need to get you a sauna. And we didn't have like a lot of space for a larger one, but I did get her one of those zip up. I'm sure you've heard of Relax Sauna. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of them? Like the little, yeah. So she's had one of those, but that's what she's been using post even PET scans, right? Or MRIs, to your point about helping to detox the body from heavy metals. I mean, there's gadolinium in, the MRI tracer. So there are certain times, right? Or even detoxing from a flight and helping to ease the radiation burden. So those are all times where I'm always encouraging her. I'm like, go sweat it out, Mom.
That's awesome. That's great. How is she doing now?
She's okay. She actually had her PET scan on Wednesday. So we're awaiting results for that. But yeah, she had stage 2 breast cancer in 2008, and then it metastasized in 2018 to her spinal bone. And then she's been dealing with some liver tumors the past few years. It's been a journey, Connie. I mean, she's the reason I started WellnStrong.
I know. I read that, which,
So God brought good from it. But yeah, she's a strong lady.
Yeah, sounds like she's a fighter, and she's strong.
She is. I know. I told her the other day, I was like, Mom, do you want to come on the podcast? And she goes, I don't know what I would say. I was like, you could just, we could just sit and chat. She's like, great, I'll consider it in the summer.
Yeah, you should. That I would love. That would be, that'd be
really special.
Yes, it would be very special. I am positive that so many people would take so much away from that, which is what your goal is to impact and empower people. And that conversation, and just let it flow naturally, and just go back and forth. That would just be fabulous.
Yeah, those are my favorite conversations. Even like these, like I prefer not to really have structured outlines, which is why I feel like you would do so well with your own podcast, because they're just fun, right? They're just opportunities to sit down and meet with folks whom you probably never would ever chat with. But this has been so fun, Connie. And one other question I did have for you. You mentioned there's a certain sauna sitting behind you right now. I know there's a multitude that Sunlighten offers. Someone new to the space, how do they go about deciding which one they want? And God willing, when I have space one day in a house, I would love to get one as well. But where do they start in determining which one is for them?
Yeah, so the best thing to do for somebody who's like exactly how you described, I would recommend calling us at Sunlighten at 877-292-0020, because our team of infrared consultants, they know all about the different collections, and their goal is to find the right fit. So it isn't necessarily, for everybody to get impulse behind, which is the one behind me. It's to find the right fit. And we have 4 different collections. And one of my favorite products, and it came to me when you were talking about your mom. So I want to talk to you separately about the Solo for your mom. So that what the Sunlighten Solo is it's so awesome. That's what we built so many of, like art. We did a trial because, of course, we came from P&G. Like, we have to do a clinical trial. It's crazy. I would not recommend doing that. But we worked with the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and it was awesome. We showed a statistical significant reduction in blood pressure, increased quality of life scores, and removal of toxins such as arsenic and aluminum. So that's a side. I mean, that was forever ago. But my point was that trial from UMKC was done with the Sunlighten Solo. And it's super powerful. It's a light-on model. You can put it anywhere. I've never seen a home that doesn't have space for the Sunlighten Solo. It is super compact and very, very powerful. The Solo by itself has 5 heaters, and our heaters are patented. Jacqueline, I'm not sure if you know that, but they have, what I mean by patented is they have delivered the most amount of infrared into the body. So think of like your ideal supplement, that you're taking a supplement for whatever, and what you're trying to get into your body is, turmeric, for example, or whatever the supplement is.
Right.
And you don't want any fillers, right? You want to have everything absorbed into your body so you're not getting waste. And that's the same way with infrared, is you want to have the most amount, and we have 99%. So we have the most on the market, and we patented our technology and our materials and our delivery system so that people have peace of mind they can't get more far infrared anyplace else. And that's what the Solo delivers. And then there's also a Solo pad that's underneath that we developed years after we developed the Solo. So you could have the complete immersion, and that has 4 heaters. So you having 9, just for perspective, 9 is a lot of heaters. I mean, our 2-person one, I think, has 8. So, I mean, it's so powerful and so intense. And there's a heater at the feet, which I love, because you can actually feel that energy coming into the soles of your feet. And then it just, it's absorbed all the way up, and your head is out. So your just comes up to your neck, and you can just lie down and breathe in fresh air while you take a Sunlighten Solo session. So I love that product, as you can tell, so much.
Yeah, that sounds incredible.
So that's our entry-level collection, the Sunlighten Solo system. It also comes with chromotherapy, which is light, additional type of light therapy. And then after that's a signature. And then after that is Amplify. And then Impulse is the only one on the market, not only the only one in our collection, but the only one that has all 4 wavelengths separately, as well as 6 different programs that blend them all together.
Wow. That's incredible. So, Connie, I'm beyond impressed with all of your knowledge.
Gosh.
I'm just in awe of you.
You're
I really am.
Sweet. Oh, you're so kind. Thank you so much. They can also go to the website. I forgot. Because
Yeah, where can listeners find you?
Yeah, they can go to sunlighten.com. I'm forgetting some of the basic stuff. So
I'll link everything. Don't worry.
Okay. So I gave you the phone number. They can also go to the website. We're on social. I'm on social. So if you want to, reach out to me, you can. We'll put all of that in the notes.
Perfect.
And then we also, I don't want to forget, I'm sure we'll put this in the notes, but for anyone listening, Sunlighten would like to pass along a discount for your listeners. So up to $1,400 off, depending on which collection you choose. And they just have to mention WellnStrong so that our consultants know where they found out. So make sure and use WellnStrong, that name. I just can't emphasize that enough.
Wonderful. Connie, this has been so much fun. I can't believe we're almost up at the hour, because I could sit and talk to you for another few.
I know, me too.
I want to be conscious of your time. We're going to have another episode.
Fantastic.
We really are.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll include contrast therapy in the talk, and then we can also include some more like self-care stuff.
I would love that. I would just love to dive into like Connie's life. Like, what are your daily habits? What is your routine with everything? Just for my own knowledge too.
Stay tuned. I'll be back.
I love that. But my last question for you, Connie, and this is always my favorite one to ask, and that is, what does being well and strong mean to you?
Being well and strong means waking up with a ton of energy and a smile on my face, and just having that sense of radiance throughout my body all day long, so that people are like, I wonder what she's doing. So it's just that inner confidence and that inner peace and happy thoughts, smiles, positive energy. I feel like if you have that foundation, you can do anything. It gives you the self-confidence to because strength to me is all about believing in yourself. Because the decision, anytime you do anything, you kind of made that decision on how successful you're going to be before you start it based on your mindset, right?
Yep.
So, and to me, that's strength.
So true. And resilience. And it's funny too, Connie, my symbol for WellnStrong is an olive branch. And upon doing further research into it, I realized that the olive tree is like one of the most resilient plants out there. And resilience was the basis, from which I built this platform too. So it's been cool to see all the synergies with meanings and whatnot. But I love that.
Well, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. Thank you so much for having me on. And I really, really, when Vic tells me we're going on again, I'm going to do like a little happy dance. I'm like, yay, I get to see Jacqueline again.
You're so sweet, Connie. I do hope to meet you in person one day. If you ever find yourself in Greenville, South Carolina, please let me know. Okay. I'd love to give you a tour.
Okay. Deal. And same reverse if you're ever in Kansas City.
Will do.
Okay.
Awesome, Connie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, listeners.